In a couple of weeks' time, the international rugby season kicks off in Australia with the Wallabies to play Scotland in Newcastle. The ARU have set some lofty goals. It wants the Wallabies to win every trophy available, including the Bledisloe Cup. The success or otherwise of the national team could well determine the future of coach Robbie Deans. In part one of this two-part interview, ARU Chief Executive John O'Neill talks to Grandstand about the season ahead. John O'Neill, welcome to Grandstand. Thanks for your time.
A pleasure, Mark.
Firstly, we're heading into another international season of rugby in Australia. What would make this a successful season for you? Would it be ticket sales? Would it be the performance of the Wallabies? Would it be to knock AFL and NRL off the back pages? What do you see as a successful season ahead?
Well, clearly the performance of the Wallabies is first and foremost the most vital objective for Australian Rugby Union is for the Wallabies to be the number one team in the world. We came out of the World Cup last year as number 2 in the world. Our aspiration is to be number 1. And all else follows. If the Wallabies can win all that they contenders for this year, the crowds will come, the viewership will be up, our corporate partners will be happy, and really the health and well-being of the game will be in pretty good shape. And then in terms of the competitive market, we will be positioned well.
Well, it's 10 years since Australia held the Bledisloe Cup. Obviously, that's a long time. It's too long, isn't it?
Yes. Thanks for reminding me. Look, the All Blacks, more often than not, are the number one team in the world. And it just so happens that they're the current holders of the World Cup, having deservedly won in New Zealand last year. We're the number 2 team in the world. We play them a lot. But the sense of achievement when you win the Bledisloe Cup is not only do you have that magnificent trophy in the cabinet, but you're likely to be the number 1 team in the world because you beat the All Blacks. They are the gold standard. We greatly admire them, we greatly respect them, we don't fear them, but we would like to get that trophy back. Between 98 and I think 2002, we held it for 5 years, and we'd like to think we could get into another golden era where the trophy isn't just won in 2012, but we can continue to win it year in, year out for a good few years.
I want to ask you a bit about Robbie Deans. You copped some criticism when he was first appointed, and then again when you continued his contract up until the end of the Lions series. He's got a Tri-Nations title for the Wallabies. If he's to win the Bledisloe Cup, it's not easy to say to him, "You're not the man to lead us to the next World Cup," is it?
I've recommended Robbie for the job initially, way back in 2007, 2008. I recommended to the board that his contract be extended for 2 years. The board unanimously signed off on both of those decisions. Robbie is a great coach and gets the best out of his team, and I believe he's the right person to be coaching the Wallabies. But at the end of the day, the next 2 years and the results of the Wallabies will be quite critical for his future as the Wallabies coach. Yes, winning the Bledisloe, and particularly next year, the British and Irish Lions Tour, which is a big contest, the 4 home unions versus the Wallabies. You'd have to say that if we won the Bledisloe and won the British and Irish Lions, then Robbie's credentials for a further extension would be pretty compelling.
I know that you won't necessarily be involved in the appointment of the next Wallabies coach, but there seems to be this suggestion out there that Ewan McKenzie is just going to stroll in after the next 2 years or after the end of Robbie Deans' contract and be the next Wallabies coach. It's going to come down to results, isn't it? It's not going to be as simple as that.
Mark, you're absolutely correct. Appointments such as this to such an important role as the national head coach of the Wallabies is a moment in time, and the runs on the board at that time and we're talking, the second half of 2013, it's the runs on the board then that will matter. And to speculate on, who may be there and who may not be there is not that useful. I mean, Ewan McKenzie's credentials are substantial. A Super Rugby title last year with the Reds. Early days, I mean, that's a fantastic result. Robbie Dean's won 5 Super Rugby titles with the Crusaders. Now, I'm not raising that for any comparative reasons, but it is about what the scoreboard looks like towards the end of next year. Robbie's either shot the lights out, and as we said earlier, has a compelling case for an extension, or he doesn't. And if he doesn't, then contenders will be looked at by those responsible for making that critical decision.
Looking further ahead, we've got a World Cup coming up in England, a World Cup in Japan. So after that, we're 2023. Australia won't have hosted a World Cup since 2003. Given the cost of putting on a World Cup these days, do you see it as prohibitive to Australia to host another World Cup? Is it beyond us?
We should host another World Cup. We did a really good job in 2003, and recently, when I was in Dublin, it was acknowledged that 2003 was something of a milestone. It changed the look and feel and the professionalism by which World Cups were presented. So Australia has the capability and the capacity to host another World Cup. 2023 certainly should be on the agenda, 2027 as well, but we should have another crack. Look, England's going to be hugely successful in 2015. Big country, big stadia. It'll be as good, if not better, than France in 2007. Japan, in its own way, will be pretty special, and I also think will be very successful. Get those two out of the way, and then hopefully Australia can feature either for 23 or 27.